The mission nobody wanted. The sky was dark and quiet over planet Vorta 7, where the war had left broken ships and burning ground across the land. A cold wind moved across the surface while the stars above watched like silent eyes. The human army had set a small outpost near the crash site of a strange ship that did not belong to the enemy. It was not human, and it was not Drovan either. It was something else, something older, something dangerous. Inside the command tent, Captain Rourke looked at the screen with worry in his eyes. He spoke to the soldiers around him with a voice that was calm but heavy. "That ship is not in our records," he said. "It sent no signal. It landed like a ghost. And now it sits there with no noise, no power, no answers." Soldiers whispered to each other. Everyone had heard stories about ships like this. Some said they carried cursed tech. Some said they held old weapons from lost alien wars. Others said something worse. "Something alive. We sent drones," Rourke continued. "But they shut down as soon as they entered. The only way to know what is inside is to send someone in." The room went quiet. No one stepped forward. No one volunteered. This was not a mission for heroes. This was a mission for fools. Then from the back of the room a voice spoke. "I'll go." It was Jace Renner, a young soldier with scars on his face and a silence in his eyes. He had lost his squad in the last attack. He had nothing left to fear. He had nothing left to lose. Rourke looked at him and then nodded slowly. "Get your gear, soldier. You move in 1 hour." The ride to the crash site was short, but it felt long. The ship sat in a deep crater like a giant dead insect made of black metal. Its surface was covered with strange lines glowing faint blue. As Jace walked toward it, the lines began to light up one by one. The ship was waking up. He stepped through a hole in the side where the hull had cracked. Inside it was cold and dark and smelled like old fire. He moved slowly. His flashlight showed metal walls shaped in ways he did not understand. Symbols moved when he looked at them. The ship felt like it was alive. At the end of the hallway he found a chamber. Inside the chamber there was a pod, and inside the pod was something big. It was over 8 feet tall, with armor like dark stone and skin that looked like it could stop bullets. Its eyes were closed. It had 4 arms and a mark on its chest, glowing the same blue light as the ship. There was a warning on the wall written in several languages, including English. "Do not wake, dangerous." If Unbundages looked at it and felt something strange. It was not fear. It was like the feeling before a storm, not just around him, but inside him. His radio buzzed. "Renner, what do you see?" Jace pressed the button. "A giant asleep with a warning," Rourke replied. "Can you wake it? Can you bond?" Jace looked at the creature again. He didn't know what bonding meant, but something inside him said yes. He walked to the pod and placed his hand on the glass. It became warm under his touch. The creature's eyes opened. They glowed like fire, but it did not move. Jace felt a sharp pain in his head. Thoughts were entering his mind, not his own images of war flames, betrayal, chains, loneliness. A voice spoke in his head, but it was not clear. It was broken, like someone speaking through water. "You hear me? You feel pain alone." Jace fell to his knees. He gasped for air. But then the voice became softer, not words, feeling, sadness, trust, hope. He looked up at the alien. The alien looked down at him. For a moment there was silence. Then the pod opened with a hiss. The giant stepped out. Rourke shouted on the radio, "Renner, do you copy? What is happening?" Jess stood up slowly and spoke into the radio. "He's awake. He's not attacking. He's looking at me like he knows me." The alien raised a hand slowly, not to strike but to offer a greeting. A connection. Jace reached out. Their hands touched, and in that moment, the bond began behind them. The ship walls started glowing brighter. The air changed. The ship was responding, as if it had found something it had lost long ago. Far above, the sky cracked with thunder, and somewhere in the distance, a signal was sent. A warning to those who were coming. "The echo has returned. The bond has been made, and nothing would ever be the same again." Mendlinkes could feel something changing inside him as he walked beside the alien giant across the quiet halls of the ship. The air felt heavier now, as if it was pressing against his skin. Karath did not speak with his mouth. His voice moved like whispers in Jace's head, soft, broken, full of pain. They walked deeper into the ship. Lights followed them. The walls pulsed like a heartbeat. Each step Karath took left behind a trail of blue light, like the ship was waking up just for him. Just his body felt weak, but his mind felt wide open. He saw flashes in his head like dreams that did not belong to him. A sky full of moons, a tower falling, a crowd shouting in a language he could not understand. Karath's memories were leaking into him. The alien looked at Jace and tilted his head. More words filled Jace's thoughts. Small voice. Loud heart, you came. You did not run. Why? Jace took a deep breath. He thought hard, tried to speak without sound. Because you looked like someone left behind. Karath blinked slowly. His hand reached toward the wall and touched a panel. The room changed. Metal folded back. A seat rose from the floor and something like a helmet floated above it. This is old tech, ancient, not human, not driven. A bridge of minds. Karath stood still as the device came to life. Sit, he told Jace. We connect, we speak true. Jace walked slowly to the seat. He did not trust it, but a part of him needed to understand this creature. He sat down. The helmet lowered gently over his head. It was cold, then it was hot, then there was only light. Saw everything. Karath's world before the fall. Great cities in the clouds. Warriors standing proud. Children learning the old codes of honor and peace. Then the betrayal. A council meeting. Shouting. Karath standing alone, accused of something he did not do. Chains, exile, silence, sleep. The pain hit Jace like fire. He cried out, but the bond held him in place. Karath's voice was louder now. We were brothers, they broke us. Now I sleep until you. Jace felt the link deepen. He was no longer just seeing memories. He was inside them. He stood beside Karath as a young warrior. He felt pride and joy. He held weapons not made on earth. He flew above oceans with wings of light. Then the fall came again, faster, darker. Karath falling through space, alone, frozen in time, waiting for death or hope. The vision ended. The helmet lifted. Jace gasped for air. His skin was wet with sweat, but his eyes were clear. He understood Karath now, not just as a soldier, but as a Sal. Karath looked at him. You are not weak. You are not like others. Jace stood up, still shaking. He looked at the giant and nodded. We fight the same enemy now. The ship rumbled. Something had changed. The bond was now complete. Not perfect, but strong enough to be dangerous. Back at the outpost, alarms began to sound. Rourke watched as red lights flashed across the screen. Unknown signal detected. Moving fast. Droven scouts inbound. He turned to his team. Prepare defenses and find Renner. We may need his monster. But Jace was not a monster, and Karath was not just a beast. They were something new, something ancient, reborn in two bodies. They stepped out of the ship together. The sun was rising, and war was coming. Karath raised his head toward the sky. His voice deep and quiet inside Jace's mind. They come, we end this together. And Jace answered without fear. Together. Target humanity. The earth under Jace's boots felt different now, as if the ground itself knew he had changed. His eyes saw clearer. His steps were faster. His thoughts were not only his anymore. Karath walked beside him, tall, silent, watching the wind, smelling danger in the air. The human soldiers stood in silence as the two figures returned from the alien ship. Some stared with fear, some with hate. No one said welcome, but no one fired either. Captain Rourke came forward, his face hard, his voice sharp. What is it? What did you bring back? Jace looked at him with eyes not entirely his own. He spoke calm, slow. This is Karath. He is not our enemy. He was betrayed by his people, and now they want us dead. Karath looked at the men. He did not smile. He did not threaten. He only said one word. Drovens. Rourke frowned. We know about the Drovens. They are at war with you. Karath shook his head. Not war, not conquest, cleansing, erasing. They do not want your land. They want your name to vanish like mine did. His words echoed in the cold morning air. Some soldiers stepped back. Some tightened their grips on their rifles. But no one could deny the feeling rising in their chests. The war was not about winning anymore. It was about surviving. Jace walked forward. He pulled out a small device. Karath had given him a piece of old alien tech. It projected an image in the air. A map Drovins, ships hundreds, moving fast toward Earth. This is not an invasion. This is a purge. Rourke clenched his jaw. His voice was quiet now. How do you know this is true? Because Jace said I saw it through him, and he saw it through the bond. Garath stepped closer. His voice moved like thunder through the minds of every soldier. I was once like them. A proud warrior, but I refused to follow their new path. I chose honor. They chose fire, and now they bring that fire to you. Suddenly, an explosion tore the sky. A Drovan scout ship burst through the clouds. Its engines screamed like metal tearing at open fire. Laser blasts struck the ground near the base. Men shouted alarms. Rang panic began, but Karath did not move back. He moved forward toward the enemy. His arms rose, energy burned from the marks on his chest. He hurled a wave of blue light into the sky. The Drovan ship swerved, lost control, crashed into the hills with a roar of flame. Silence followed. Smoke rose, eyes turned. What was that? Rourke whispered. Karath looked toward the sun. More will come. Jay stood beside him. This is not just about fighting back. This is about becoming more. Rourke nodded. Then we train, we prepare, and if this giant is truly with us, we let him lead. Some soldiers cheered, some still doubted, but all of them knew. Something powerful had joined the field. Later that night, as fire burned in the distance, Jace sat outside his tent, his hands shaking. Karath sat beside him like a statue carved from storm and stone. I feel you in my thoughts, Jace said. Karath replied. The bond is deep, but it is only beginning. Jace asked, will it change me? Will I become like Yao? Karath looked at him for a long moment. Then he spoke. You will become what you were meant to be. Stars above were quiet, but somewhere out there the Drovan fleet moved closer, and in the heart of one of their warships, a general watched the reports, saw the crash. He frowned. One of them lives. One of the old warriors bonded with a human. He turned to his officers. Bring the purge forward. Earth dies before the bond grows strong. Betrayal at dawn. The night was quiet, but the quiet was wrong. It was the kind of silence that hides knives. Inside the human base, men cleaned weapons, checked walls, whispered fears they would not say in daylight. Karath stood alone on the edge of the outpost. He watched the stars like a wolf watches the forest. He felt something moving, not in the sky, not in the dirt, but in the hearts of men. Yachi woke from uneasy sleep, his chest tight, his head burning. He heard a whisper that did not come from Kroth. Something is wrong. He got up, put on his gear, stepped outside. The sky was turning orange, not from the sun, but from fire. A blast shook the ground. One of the towers exploded in flames. Sirens screamed, soldiers shouted. Then from the trees, shadows moved fast, not human, not slow. Drovan strike team. Rourke barked orders. Fall back, defend the core. Where's Renner? Where's the alien? Jace ran through smoke and chaos. Gunfire danced around him. He saw Karath already fighting. His body moved like a storm made of steel. Each step broke earth. Each swing crushed Drovan armor. The soldiers saw him, and for the first time they did not call him a freak. They fought beside him, but the Drovans were too many. They came like waves, endless, sharp, cold. Then Jace saw it, a shadow on the hill, a human, not Drovan, watching with cold eyes, holding a beacon, sending a signal. A traitor, Jace shouted, but it was too late. Another blast hit the back wall. A new wave of Drovans poured in. The base was falling from inside and out. Karath roared, his voice shaking the stone, but even he was slowing. His energy low, his body wound. Edges ran to him, fired his rifle until it clicked empty. Threw it, picked up a Drovan blade, sliced through the enemy like a flame in dry grass. Karath looked down at him, eyes glowing soft. You fight like mine, not just with blade, but with fire inside. Jace bled from the shoulder, but kept standing. He shouted, we hold this line together. The remaining soldiers rallied, formed a wall around the last building, but then one shot broke the silence. A human weapon fired from close range. It struck Karath in the side. He staggered, dropped to one knee. Jace turned, saw the shooter, a soldier from their own unit, eyes wide, hands shaking. They told me he'd kill us. They said he's controlling you. Jace stepped forward. He told me his Voice full of fury, "You don't understand, he's the reason we're still breathing." The soldier dropped the weapon and ran gone into the smoke. A Karith coughed. Dark liquid spilled from his wound. He looked at Jace. "I do not fear death, but I will not fall before the fight is done." Jace called for help, medic supplies, but many were gone, dead, missing, or afraid. Rock arrived, covered in ash, his face tight. "The base is lost, we're pulling out. We have one shuttle, no time." Jace looked at Karath, looked at the sky. The fight had just begun, but the battlefield was no longer here. He nodded. "Then we go. We take the fight to them." Rourke hesitated, then gave the order, "All units fall back. Prepare for launch." As the last flames burned behind them, as the sun broke the edge of the world, Jace and Karath stood side by side, their bodies broken, but their purpose whole. And far above, in the cold black of space, the Drovan fleet opened its eyes. Earth had hours, not days, and the only hope left was a human soldier and an 8-foot alien, wounded, angry, and ready. Secrets of the ancients. The stars above looked cold as the shuttle moved through black space. Inside the cabin, there was no talking, only breathing, only thoughts, heavy thoughts. Jace sat with his head down, his hand still shaking. Karath rested across from him, his wounds sealed with alien tech, but his mind still bleeding. Jace had seen it again in a dream, a tower of light falling, screams in a language he did not know, a name burned into his mind. Echo. He opened the old data core Karath had pulled from the wreck. It was round, small, silent, but when Jace touched it, it spoke, not with words, with visions. He saw a time before humans walked space, before the Drovans became beasts. A time when bonds between species were sacred, when a warrior and a soul could become one. Echoes. They called them echoes, one mind, two bodies, power beyond limits. But the echoes were feared because they could not be controlled, because they could not be lied to, because they chose each other, not by order, not by blood, but by trust. Jace blinked, sweat on his face. He looked at Karath. "You were one of them." Karath's voice moved slow like an old river. "Yes, but not complete. I had no bond. No mirror until now." Just stood, his heartbeat like thunder. He felt stronger, faster, but also heavier. The bond was growing, and it was taking something from him, but giving something else in return. Rourke came into the cabin, his face hard. "We found something. You need to see it." They moved to the front. A message had been picked up, old frequency, ancient code, not human, not Drovan. Screen flickered. Then a face appeared, alien, not Karath's kind, not Drovan either. Eyes like black suns, voice like wind through bones. To the bonded one, "If you hear this, then the cycle has returned, then war has come again. The echo was broken long ago. Do not repeat our mistake." The message ended. Silence returned. Rourke stared at the screen. "What does it mean? What mistake?" Jace whispered. "They tried to make echoes. They tried to control the bond, but something went wrong." Rath's voice was quiet. "They created power, but not peace. One human bonded before long ago. He lost himself. He became something else." Jace looked down at his hands. He could feel energy under his skin. He could hear thoughts that were not his. He saw memories from a world he never knew. Was he losing himself too? He walked alone to the back of the ship. The stars through the window looked different. They looked alive. He touched the glass, and for a moment he saw Earth burning, smoke rising, and something standing in the fire. Tall, half alien, half man. Eyes glowing. Was it him, or something else? Karath came beside him. "You fear the bond?" Jace nodded. "Yes, I fear what it makes me, what it takes from me." Karath spoke gently. "The bond does not change who you are. It shows what you already carry. If you hold fire, it will burn. If you hold honor, it will shine." Jace turned. "Then what did the last bonded one hold?" Karith was silent, then answered. He held fear. A warning came through the ship. Drovan fleet detected 50 warships heading toward Earth. Time to contact 20 hours. Rourke called to Jace. "We need a plan. You and your alien friend. You're our only chance." Jace looked at the stars. He thought of the fire, the dream, the name Echo. He turned to Karath. "Then we go to where it began, to the old place, the tower. We find the truth, before it finds Euskaratha's eyes burn. Then we go, and we do not look back, and somewhere, far in the shadows of space, a figure watched the stars, its body wrapped in armor, half flesh, half memory. The last echo, not dead, not alive, waiting. He felt the bond awaken. He smiled. Another is risen. Let us see if he breaks. The final storm, the sky above the forgotten moon, was not black. It was violet, silent, burning with clouds that moved like slow beasts across the stars. Lightning rolled sideways across the horizon, but there was no sound, only a hum, low, old, like the heartbeat of a dead god still echoing through stone. The shuttle landed in the valley below a mountain shaped like a blade. Jace stepped out first. His boots touched the ground and the hum grew louder. K'Rath followed, his eyes narrow, his breathing deep. This place was not marked on human maps, not in any Drovan records, and yet both Jace and K'Rath felt it. The bond pulled them here, dragged them like a forgotten memory rising from under dark water. The mountain was not a mountain, it was a tower fallen on its side, broken by war, carved by time. It was the birthplace of the first echo. They entered through a crack in the base inside. The walls glowed, faint blue symbols lit up as they walked. Not just reading them, remembering them. Jace moved like someone walking through a dream. He had seen 1,000 times but never understood. His hands touched the walls. His heart beat faster. He heard whispers again. But this time they were speaking his name. Yes, Jace bonded, chosen, Echo. K'Rath stopped at a door. He placed his hand on it. The metal pulled back like water. Inside was a chamber, and in the center of it, a figure tall, still covered in armor, older than any human tech. Its body half metal, half bone, its face hidden, but the energy coming from it was louder than fire. The last echo. Jace stepped forward. The figure opened its eyes. They were not red, not blue, they were silver, empty, heavy. You came. The voice rang in Jace's mind like bells inside a storm. Another bond, another fool. Jace raised his voice. I came for truth. I came for a way to stop the Drovansh. Echo laughed. You came for hope, but all you'll find is wait. You are not the first. You will not be the last, and when your soul cracks, you will become like me, a weapon with no war. A voice with no name. K'Rath stepped between them. He raised his arms. Enough. This bond is not yours to judge. He chose freely, not for power, but for purpose. The echo turned its head, slow, heavy. You defend him, but can you stop what's inside him? The fire grows, and when it burns, it does not stop. The chamber began to shake. Energy flowed from the walls. The bond inside Jace boiled, flashed, opened fully, and for a moment, Jace saw everything. The creation of the Echo program, the first bond, the fall of the tower, the war that was never recorded, the betrayal, the silence, the exile of K'Rath, and the truth. The Echo was not made for defense, it was made to erase. The Drovans feared it. The humans abandoned it, and now it lived again. Jace screamed, his voice raw, his mind splitting. K'Rath grabbed his arm, brought him back, anchored him. Not lose yourself. The bond shows all, but you are still Jace. You are still holy. Jace fell to his knees, breathed hard. The Echo stepped back. You are stronger than I was. Jace looked up. Then help us. Help me stop them. The Echo was silent. Then he turned toward a wall, pressed his hand into it. A map appeared, not of one world, but of all the systems the Drovans had marked for extinction. Earth was the final point, the end. Then take this, the Echo said, and pointed to a chamber in the floor. Inside it, a blade. Not metal, not fire, but something older. Something bonded to Jace the moment he touched it. The final bond born of trust, forged by loss. Outside, the sky cracked. Ships moved above the clouds. The Drovan fleet had Hfycodex looked at Jace. It is time. Jace stood, blade in hand, eyes glowing like the storm outside. Let's end what they started. And far above in the lead ship, the Drovan commander watched the tower, frowned. They found him, the Echo lives. He turned to his fleet. Burn the moon, burn the blood, burn the bond. And so, the final storm began, not with orders, not with armies, but with a choice to become more, or to lose everything. Echo of two souls. The moon was burning. Ash fell from the sky like dark snow. The air shook with war-driven ships covered the horizon. Their engines screamed across the silence. The ended Araveja stood at the edge of the broken tower, the blade in his hand felt like memory, not steel, not light, but something older, a part of him, a promise made long before he was born. Karaf stood beside him. His armor cracked, his breath deep, his eyes never leaving the sky. They are coming, Karath, Jace nodded. Then let them. Behind them the last echo stepped from the shadows. His voice was no longer sharp, it was quiet, soft. You may survive or you may fall. But what you do next will be remembered. Just looked at Karath. We go together, Echo and Soldier 1. Soul 2 Hearts, the Drovan command ship, appeared above them. Massive, alive, with red lights, weapons ready, engines burning through clouds. Jace raised the blade. Karath stepped forward. The bond between them glowed bright. Not blue, not red, but white. Clear, true. They leapt. The Echo stayed behind, watching. For the first time in centuries, he felt something, hope, inside the Drovan ship. The halls were black cold, filled with guards ready to kill, but Jace moved like a storm, and Karath moved like the memory of war. Their minds were one, their steps timed like breath. The blade sang as it cut through armor. Karath's fists broke steel like paper. They reached the core, the heart of the ship. The Drovan general waited there, 10 feet tall, built like a god of ash, eyes like knives. You think you can stop a purge, he hissed. You think you matter. Jace stepped forward. I don't matter, we do. The general attacked fast, brutal, like a falling star. The fight shook the ship. Walls cracked, lights died, metal screamed, but Jace did not fall, and Karath did not break, because they were not fighting alone. They were fighting as one. The final blow came not from anger, not from power, but from trust. Jace leapt. Karath threw him higher. The blade sank deep into the Drovan heart, and the war ended. Their silence followed, then light, then nothing. He woke up not on the moon, not on Earth, but in a place made of memory. Wrath stood before him, wounded, smiling. You are alive. Jace looked around. Where are we? Inside the bond, the final door. Wrath placed his hand on Jace's chest. You carry both of us now. Just blinked. You're not coming back. Wrath shook his head. My path ends, yours begins. But you are not alone, never again. The memory faded. Jace opened his eyes on Earth, surrounded by soldiers, medics, fire and peace. He had survived, but not unchanged. His eyes still glowed. His thoughts still carried another voice. Karath was gone, but he lived in Jace, now a whisper, a guide, a friend. They called Jace a hero. They gave him medals, title, stories, but one night he left no goodbye, no message. Only a symbol carved into the wall of his room, a hand reaching for another bond. Some say he walks among stars. Some say he vanished into silence. Some say he waits for the next war. But those who knew him, those who remember the tower, the blade, the bond, they say only this: he was never just human. He was never just alien.